Hello, hello, and welcome back to another edition of Money in Motion. Decided to have a guest on the show today. He's very chill, likes to bring some good vibes to the markets here. What's Monte? Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. Yes, that is my pup Simba, and I would definitely categorize him as a good luck charm. So, he's getting drowsy already. My talk is putting him to sleep. Look at that. I start talking, he starts sleeping. Not unlike the audience, I'm sure. But anyways, I hope everyone's doing well. Lots to discuss today. Like the title implies, ES bouncing back, and also some BlackRock rumors that some insiders saying that the ETF launch is about 3 months away, which would be a very positive catalyst for Bitcoin, and Bitcoin is responding positively to that news. So talk about that and a lot more. And we'll see if Simba has anything to add to the show. It's funny when I say his name, you can see him look. Simba.
Barely.
Yeah.
He's like, don't bother me. Monty, we have some interesting stuff going on with Roblox today.
Oh,
They just
yes.
had earnings down about 20% or 19% last time I checked.
Jeez.
You want to make a point about them? Do you want to talk about that right now?
Yeah. Roblox, you live by the earnings, you die by the earnings. That's kind of been the motto with Roblox. I mean, no stock has really been more volatile around earnings than Roblox. Um, and I was discussing with members of the community yesterday, and what I essentially said was that I'm not going to try and play the earnings game. The reason why, so for those of you that don't know, like the reason why people ask me about Roblox is because I made a trade at the beginning of the year. I thought that the first quarter they would beat expectations and have a really nice earnings report, which is what occurred here. So people were very happy. And the reason why I made this estimate was based on I did a breakdown on like the Robux inflow and the amount of capital they had flowing in. I didn't do the same sort of deep dive analysis, but just it was my general feeling that they weren't going to beat if times are tough, people aren't going to be spending money on Robux. Like this was definitely just the Christmas boost. And then, the summer months are tough. So they missed on the top and bottom line pretty significantly too, especially on the bottom line, missing by over 100 million in revenue. So that is substantial. But that being said, what do I see for Roblox in the future? I think this presents a good opportunity because I genuinely believe Roblox is a like not a I don't want to call it a what's one level below a blue chip stock or like a futuristic blue chip stock. I don't know what you'd call it, but I think that Roblox is like
You mean like I feel like we've always kind of compared it to an Activision Blizzard or something like
yeah,
that.
like
Would
something
you
something
consider
like
that
that.
one
Like
tier below blue chip?
yeah. So like I do believe that Roblox has a massive future in gaming. Whether or not they get like integrated into Meta or they continue to do their own thing, the fact of the matter is like this is an incredibly popular game amongst a demographic of kids that are 4 to 15. And the point, like if you're looking at this from a macro perspective, think about how that demographic, the age of 4 to 15, and how it's changed in the last 10 years. The biggest change has been their access to technology. Nowadays, a 4-year-old can use an iPad and they can go on Roblox and play Roblox. I've seen it. I've seen my cousins do it. They're 4 years old and they're playing Roblox. So it's like as time progresses, more and more and more and more people, even like right now, you could argue that only the privileged have access to this technology. But eventually, as it becomes more affordable, more people will have access, more people will be playing Roblox. I think this game isn't going anywhere. And in the long term, I like it as a buy. So getting to the analysis. This is where I could see it plausibly trading down to 25 if we or 26, 25.75. If we get a move down to that level, I will be looking to buy. Most likely just buy spot outright because like I said, I like this as a macro play. So like let the earnings, let the market digest the earnings because they were bad. And I do expect at least a little bit of continued pullback on the back of that earnings. But um, who was it? Haven Crypto put a video out on Twitter the other day talking about how you don't need to try and guess the earnings report every time, right? You don't need to try and be like, oh, earnings is, they're going to beat, they're going to miss. Like, you don't need to do that. You can just react to earnings, right? Because that creates tremendous opportunity. All we're looking for is volatility, and you're getting it in Roblox. So it may not excite Simba, but it's still exciting to me to see Roblox. This is like a fire sale um, for Roblox, and I think that it may head a little bit lower, but if it does, I will be definitely allocating a portion of my spot buying power to some Roblox stock.
Gotta just flip the laptop a little bit. Yeah, I think Monty's, thesis can be summed up in one word, at least when it comes to the recent earnings, and it's summer camp. Um, less iPads, less 4-year-olds on iPads. Summer camp.
Yeah, I mean they're outside playing, right? Like they're outside playing. Like people, it's weird because so I was the other day, my neighbor was out and he's like 6 or 7 or something, and he is out playing soccer by himself. And so I went out there and I was passing the ball around with him, and he was talking about how his parents like put limits on how much time he can spend on his iPad a day. And I feel like that's the case for a lot of kids. Like, they have limits on how much, especially during the summer.
The same was with us, but it was just with Xbox.
Yeah, right. It's like get outside and play. It's a beautiful day. Like go outside. Don't sit there and stare at the screen. You're gonna ruin your eyes. Like I heard that probably a million times when I was a kid. And he's probably hearing the same thing. So, the summer months are tough on video game stocks and stocks that benefit from the participation of children. And I think that Roblox is the best example of that. But anyways, that's 8 minutes on Roblox.
Well, we kind of hung out with the dog a little bit and chilled, but yeah. I'll move us into equities.
All right, let's do it.
Yeah, just looking at coin a little bit. Nothing too exciting happening today. Mara kind of selling it off a little bit. You said they missed on the bottom line and top line quite a bit. Oh, wow. Earnings negative 80% to the downside in terms of reported.
Yeah, that was a rough earnings report. And one thing that if I may just briefly interrupt, CJ, one thing that's going to be important to watch out for today is Riot and Any, both of which have earnings after hours. I had talked about how Mara could kind of be the canary in the coal mine for these equities, right? And what's interesting is that despite the fact that it missed, Mara still looks good. It looks like it's bouncing back. So will we see the same out of Riot and Any? I think that's a plausible assumption.
Yeah, I have no idea, honestly. But I think based on the Dow, how the Dow is postured, content to kind of just chill for the time being. But yeah, I mean, yesterday really rallied back after quite a bearish day. It was interesting to go and see on CNBC all of the bears who flipped bullish for a little bit were kind of full on bearish as well, calling for levels just getting way ahead of themselves, which is pretty typical of folks. I think it's best to just take things one day at a time. In reality, we still are making lower highs in terms of the Dow, which was essentially the leader of all of last week. Russell really starting to break down and trend to the downside, as is NASDAQ, and ES is starting to break. So there's nothing here that inherently looks bullish from a technical perspective, in my opinion. And then when you compare that with the actual positioning, there's really no justification for me to be bullish in this particular instance, especially since there's just been some Twitter accounts that have been wrong all year, bearish, are like flipping bullish, and it's just like such an obvious signal, it seems like, or maybe it will be in hindsight. As for things that, is there anything you want to add to that before I go into specifics?
No. I just completely agree with you. Those are good points. Please continue.
Yeah. So as for like individual names, was stopped out of heating oil, break even, had to basically gave those paper profits back yesterday, but whatever, it's gonna happen. Grains have generally continued to be weak. I think what you had talked about in terms of soybean oil yesterday, Monte, still looks like a pretty good trade in terms of like the shorts. We'll see if cocoa does anything. I still think we continue to lower levels, but starting to see a little bit of buy pressure come in today. Energy, I still think, it's getting bid today, interestingly enough, despite the fact that equities are not. But that's one area one sector that's crowded long that we've been looking at and like waiting for some type of inflection point. Right now, grain shorts are kind of really, I'd say, the best play that's working in both risk on and risk off environments. Closed copper yesterday, just as we started to bounce. It's like once you capture the liquidation, or if you have other like risk off positions, I just wanted to take those chips off the table, de-risk a little bit. I think one thing you may notice, at least one thing that I notice in my own trading, is like when my P&L for like when my weekly P&L spikes to its highest level, I usually get excited, and counterintuitively, it's usually the top for my account in the short term. So nothing wrong with taking a little off in that respect. But Monte, I'm sure that happens to you all the time too.
Oh, all the time.
Yeah.
I had a question for you, CJ, regarding Mara. You had been talking basically all week and all last week. You're like, oh, I'm loving this price action in the crypto equities. This pullback is nice. I'm going to be looking to buy spot when the time comes. Tell me, sir, has the time come? Is this the time to be buying Mara? Because the chart honestly looks pretty good, but I'd love to get your thoughts on it.
Yeah, look, the time's going to come likely where I, put 80% of my net worth into Coinbase. I don't think that's yet, but the only reason why I've not scaled in yet, and I've kind of been waiting on the crypto equities, is that, well, first of all, in the short term, we haven't really seen a whole lot of follow through yet from BTC following yesterday. Did we even really take out the highs? The main reason why, and yeah, like crypto equities are selling off. We'll see, right? I think the reason why I'm not allocated, or I haven't been buying crypto equities, is namely just because I'm still short the Dow, and I'm having a difficult time reconciling a short-term short equity view with, maybe a longer-term crypto secular trend. Like, I think if we come down and start to form support in equities and continue the uptrend, that's when I would love to be buying. But I just like, coin could go to 70. Like, it could go to it could go much lower. And if I'm gonna buy a lot of it, like, I don't really want to hold that drawdown. It's gonna be too painful. So just wait. I'm happy to buy into positive momentum if it comes back with a lot of conviction. But like I said, I'm just having a difficult time reconciling my kind of equity short or bearish short-term outlook with crypto in that sense. Maybe that'll end up being a mistake, but that's just kind of how I'm looking at things.
No, I think that's completely rational. When you look at equities right now, it's not necessarily, or there's really nothing that's screaming buy right now. I think what's going to be interesting to see is if the DXY can get above 103. If we can get the DXY above 103, then I think we see continued risk off price action in a lot of the a lot of the risk on equities, like, you know, the Microsofts, the Apples, the Amazons, particularly things like Amazon, which, you know, has a relatively large gap to fill to the downside. You know, will it fill? Um, it's tough to say. I could see a lot of people trying to buy some put options and then getting burned on this. But what I wanted to briefly mention, just real quick, in the realm of crypto, is something that I've been beating the same drum for like 2 weeks. So excuse me if you've heard this rant before, but I wanted to do a little bit of an experiment last night. And okay, so this is the 15-minute chart of Bitcoin Cash, right? Now, CJ just mentioned equities weak, right? Like what is the catalyst for Bitcoin Cash going up? And I talked about this yesterday, what happened right here, right? People got massively short. And then what's crazy? The same exact thing happened right here. Same exact thing. The funding rate reached the same exact level, negative 0.35. And I saw this and I'm like, all right, I'm going to get long because the funding rate's so negative. And lucky enough, like as soon as the funding rate was negative, I basically just went to bed, set a target where I wanted to take profit, and sure enough, people got squeezed out. So the reason why that worked is because this is an incredibly crowded trade. People are talking about it on Twitter. People are talking about it nonstop. And if you try and short this right now, I just think it's a massive mistake. I think you run the risk of, one, getting liquidated, but two, I think there are much better options elsewhere. For instance, one that I have been talking about this week as a great short, and I still think is a good short, is Sushi Swap. The reason why I think it is because it's not crowded. If you look at the funding rate's neutral. The funding rate's zero. In fact, right when yesterday, I haven't checked today yet, but the funding rate was positive. So there's not people rushing in to short this one, and you can see it in the way that this is declined, right? It's a more just steady, like 45-degree angle slope down bunny hill, to make the skiing analogy. But like, you know, that's what you want to be trading. You don't want to be trading Bitcoin Cash that, okay, yeah, if you look at the daily chart, you might say, oh man, look at all these gains I could get. Oh, I can capture all this downside. Yeah, that's a moonshot, because you and thousands of other crypto traders are going to be trying to make the same trade. And we know what happens when a trade gets crowded. It squeezes in the opposite direction. The market punishes the majority. That's the way it goes. And Bitcoin Cash is no exception. So don't be shorting something just because it's overextended. Look for things that are not crowded. Look at the funding rates. Look at the, make sure it's not like negative 0.3 like Bitcoin Cash has been on several occasions in the last week. So that's kind of my altcoin short thesis. Sushi's just one example, but I think you could apply the same form of analysis. Just look at the funding rate, see how people are positioned, and then make the trade.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I took a single long futures trade other than maybe optimism in all of 2022. You're probably very similar, Monte. And it's just like, now that we're out of that environment, I don't want to short crypto at all, because it's just not even, it's almost like a mirage in the sense that, like, you look at that space underneath, the gap in Bitcoin Cash, it's like 20-30%, which, you're probably not going to get all of, even if the trade works. And like, you look at something like Aptos that's squeezing like 16 to 20% today, that's virtually the best case. Like, that's one of the best case scenarios, is to make like 16 to 20% on a short. That's a big move, like, reasonably speaking. But the fact that Aptos can do that in the opposite direction in a matter of like minutes, just because of a random announcement that none of us could foresee. It just makes shorting not really, like, it's just not even worth it, even if you win, like, on a long term basis. You're better off just, like, trading a market that doesn't have upward drift. And like, we just have no volatility. It's so difficult to trade in the short term. I think in crypto right now, you have to be thinking like long term, or maybe like a couple like secular project bets that you want to make for 2024, 2025. But like trading short term around this vol is just not, there's got to be a better way. That's all I'm saying. So I
Yeah, I
think
think the
finding
better way is just
volatility
taking that 4% yield from treasuries on, your cash in your brokerage account.
for 99% of people, for 95% of people, that's probably the best thing to do.
For 95% of people, that's the best thing to do always, even in roaring markets.
I mean, I used to be quite cynical of the idea of like, dollar cost average into the S&P and you'll be good. I don't know. Maybe that ends up being not as doesn't age as well in the next like 10 to 13 years. Because what is it like? NASDAQ took like 14 years after 2000 to make a new high. Who knows
Yeah.
if we get a really big bubble in 2024 and 2025? In that case, maybe we won't make new all-time highs for like a decade. But who cares about getting ahead of ourselves? Let's just trade what's in front of us. Monte, you pulling up NASDAQ there? Is anything you were looking at or want to talk about real quick?
I'll just end it with this. Looking at the NASDAQ, I think today is going to be a very critical day. If we do break down below yesterday's low, I think that kind of sets the tone for the rest of the week in terms of what we can expect. And that would be negative price action. And then lastly, the DXY, it's kind of like the same thing. The breakdown level for the NASDAQ is the same as like the breakout level for the DXY. I think we get above 102.7, 102.8, where we've been rejected in the last couple of days. We get above that level. That'd be a good indication that, maybe you can, buy some puts, or if you were to buy puts, I would look in the ones that have performed the best, some of these big tech names. I think they are set for a pretty significant pullback, especially if the NASDAQ closes below that level and the dollar closes above this level. I think that's kind of the trigger for entry for me, in terms of selling some calls or perhaps buying some puts.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking through the Q's assets right now. Nvidia looks quite vulnerable.
Yeah, the problem is that the options are
Tesla.
the options are very expensive yet today because the VIX really spiked yesterday. So if you want to, like, it seems like the market's not in any hurry to make a move in either direction right now. It's kind of in Simba mode. It's just kind of laying sideways.
We have seen some brutal Thursdays.
That's
That's what
true.
I'm thinking we could run into. We've gotten stocks have gotten smacked on Thursdays a couple different times in the past few
Yeah,
months.
that's actually been, that's a good point. In the last like 2 months, a few different Thursdays have been the worst days that we've had. So yeah, I mean,
Sorry, we were talking about. I interrupted you. You were talking about how the options are expensive because we had a spike in vol yesterday. So yeah, and it looks like the market's not in a rush to break down immediately. That's where you were before I interrupted you.
yeah, no, you're good. That's pretty much the point. Like, when it doesn't feel like the market's in a rush, you are right. We have had some pretty ugly Thursdays. So if you want to kind of front run that ugly Thursday thesis, we need to come up with a name for that. We got Turnaround Tuesday. I don't know.
Something that starts with a T.
Throwdown Thursday.
Turnover.
Turnover
Yeah.
Tuesday. Yeah, that's good.
Or
Simba just
turnover
turned over
Thursday.
too.
Yeah.
But I think that you could wait. You could plausibly wait until the end of the day. Like, don't trade right now because the options are going to be so expensive. Just wait a little bit and either buy them tomorrow when things are looking like they're beginning to move, or at the end of the day, if we haven't seen massive vol, you'll see the prices of those options come down a bit, and it'll be much more affordable to buy some protection. So I'm waiting for today to kind of level off a little bit, and then I'll be looking to buy some options because the VIX is pulling back. Yesterday was a big spike in the VIX, and that really led to some increased prices when it comes to the options around some of these big tech names.
Yeah, I am along a little bit of SQQQ, but yeah, I think, when you have a volatility environment like the current one, futures is probably just the most optimal way, unless you want to play like individual names. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe this is the time. I'm not saying it is, but it does look vulnerable. As does like Tesla and a lot of these other names, but haven't really played them. Mainly just been shorting through indices. But yeah.
Yeah, that's I haven't really made a move yet either, but like I said, perhaps this afternoon I'll be making a move. But that's really all I got for today, CJ. Anything else you'd like to add before we wrap things up?
Yeah, I would like to thank our special guest today for
Yeah,
joining us. Appreciate
he's
that.
hard at work
Make
cleaning
sure you
himself
give him a
over there.
nice milk bone after this. Go for
He
a
needs it.
walk. Go
Yeah,
for a
I'll
walk.
definitely take him for a walk after this. Maybe give him a treat. He looks a little dejected after me speaking for 30 minutes straight, so he needs some
Yeah.
attention. He loves his attention more than anything else, so I'll give him some love.
Yeah, I see some questions earlier from a great name in chat. Sell me your assets. If you like to sign up and get access to Monte and I's trades, check out tradethechain.com for their membership. It comes with a variety of cool stuff, including sentiment indicators, trade ideas, and a community Discord with Monte and myself posting trade ideas and just talking. We like to hang out and discuss stuff with like-minded individuals and whatnot. But that's how you can get access. Also, we have a new deal with DYDX. I guess I'm the last person to call it DYDX. I guess it's DIDEX. But there's a deal. You can get 5% off trading fees at our link below in the description. So if you're interested in trading on a DEX, you can check that out. But yeah, appreciate you guys tuning in. Hope you have a wonderful day, and we will see you back here same time tomorrow. Take it easy.
Take care.